Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. I'm your host, Nate Whitesir, flying solo without my co-pilot, Josh Lander, who is away for some work business just this morning, but still going to bring you our player props and make good on our promise to do 2 game videos and the props. We've got our game videos up from last night, like the Blazers at home over OKC, like the under in the Sixers-Knicks game. It is the day after the trade deadline here, so still plenty of moving parts in terms of who's going to play and key names like Luka Doncic questionable, as always, but bringing you 4 props here that I think are reliable and has something to do with the trade deadline here in this first one. I mean, Haliburton and the Pacers are hosting the Suns, who are on a back-to-back, who do not have any wing defense now with Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson gone, waiting on Kevin Durant, who's still injured, not going to play until after the break anyway. I mean, the Suns were not really able to put up much of a fight in Atlanta last night, and Trae Young was the catalyst that just kind of picked them apart, 36, 7, and 12 for the point guard. So I think Haliburton is a good way to target the entire Pacers offense without trying to get specific on who's going to torch these Suns. I do like the Pacers here at just -1 if it's going to hold around there. Because I don't think the Suns, they just don't have the numbers. They don't have the gas in the tank to play on a back-to-back here with just Chris Paul. Devin Booker should be back for this one, however, to keep it competitive. So that is a positive for Haliburton, getting double-digit assists. Plus 115 for him to get double digits, for him to go over 9.5 assists is really fantastic odds at DraftKings. I mean, he's a guy who averages 10.7 dimes at home, double-digit dimes in 5 of his last 7 at home. The one he did not get there, 2 he did not get there. I mean, they're matchups you can kind of expect. Toronto and his old team, Sac, who obviously was geared up to try to limit what he does. But Phoenix has been below average guarding guards over the last week or so. I mean, really the last 15 games, I think, for them, because of guys in and out of the lineup. And, I mean, without Mikal Bridges, it's going to be a pretty notable drop, but we've only seen that 1 game so far. So I think definitely target his assists. His threes, for him to hit 3 threes, is also plus 115. I like that a little more. I mean, averages about 3 threes per game wherever he is. I think this one, if Booker's cooking, could have a little bit more scoring potential. But I'm just not touching his points at 18.5 yet. His usage rate is still pretty low since he came back from that elbow injury, getting 15.5 points, but still one of the best passers, facilitators in the game. I like him to follow up what Trae did, just setting up his teammates and maybe not scoring as much as Trae did last night against the Suns. So, looking at Pelicans and Cavs here, and the Cavs are an elite defense, but CJ McCollum is kind of the counter for that. I mean, even against guards where Cleveland is more vulnerable than they are in the front court, they give up almost nothing by the numbers, but CJ has found a way. I mean, he had 25 points on 36 usage in his debut against the Cavs when he was with the Pels last January. First game and first matchup in this situation is what I'm saying. Previous one, 21, 7, and 6 with Portland when the Cavs started to become an elite defense earlier that season. Only 28% usage. And yeah, his usage was skyrocketing without both Zion and Ingram. It dipped back as they tried to acclimate Ingram in that first 3 here, but now the Pels were able to snap out of their funk, and then they got another win against Atlanta by letting CJ cook. I mean, 32% usage rate, did not shoot the ball particularly well, 8 for 23 from the field, but did hand out 7 dimes. The ball was in his hands a lot, and that led to a win. So now in his last 8, averaging 22 points, 6.5 assists or so. I like combining the two. 27.5 points assists is nearly even money at DK. Not much worse for just the points at 21.5. He's just so reliable getting around 20. It's just a question of this getting a tick over than you might expect. And the Cavs being on the road here is a huge factor in terms of them not shutting teams down. Donnie Mitchell also kind of like to finally get cooking himself after resting an easy one over the Pistons. We know what he does on extra rest. His prop is 24.5 points. So I look for both these shooting guards to counter each other and for this one to be surprisingly high scoring perhaps. But in any case, yeah, CJ is the man for New Orleans. So bound to take an under at some point. I'm going under with LaMelo Ball, 23.5 points. And kind of like the under on his threes here, 3.5 is plus. They're both about plus 100 or a little bit better. Because LaMelo is chucking, fair enough. I mean, the Hornets don't have much else, but numbers take a little bit of a dip on the road here. He's in Boston tonight. He averages just under 22 on the road versus almost 25 at home. So he did have some pretty good scoring games against Boston at home. These teams played back-to-back last month in Charlotte. But it's a different story now in Boston. The Celtics playing at a 94 pace in their last 5 at home. Defense is a pretty good 110 rating. Could have their interior guys back, Rob, Will, or Al Horford. And still no Marcus Smart, which has surprisingly affected their offense more than their defense. And so the Celtics are not playing these high-scoring games that we saw in Charlotte. Also, Tatum had 51 in that last one. And that was when LaMelo was able to come back and hit 5 threes to probably get most of his points there. I mean, but he still went in his previous 2 against the Celtics, 1 for 12 from the 3-point line. So they know how to force him into some bad shots. In that game where Tatum drops to 50, he shot 8 for 23 from the floor. He was a minus 18. I mean, it's not winning basketball. And that's the biggest problem here is that the Hornets have lost 7 straight to the Celtics, 4 straight by double digits. They're getting owned by this team, and they're, frankly, not trying to win games at all at this point in the season. They've lost 5 straight at this point, and I think the Celtics can have their way with them, depending who suits up. I mean, Jaylen Brown might not be in, and Smart's still out, but I think the Celtics have enough depth with Derek White and Brogdon guarding LaMelo. I think they have enough to force him into more bad shots and potentially pull away so that he's not playing the fourth quarter. And so under on the points, maybe the threes, maybe the PRA if you do think it's a blowout, but I think he's just not going to score that much. And close it out with a pretty unknown guy, I guess, Drew Eubanks for the Blazers. Wanted to take Dame, and I would not hate anyone for taking 35 points, which is where Dame's prop is at. He's averaging 37 over the last month. I think if you take that, you should take it in a win. I think if you take it, you should parlay it with SGA over 30 points because you're going to need the Thunder to come along and force an exciting high-scoring game. I don't think there's going to be a ton of defense in this game at all. After OKC trades away, Portland trades away Josh Hart, and Nurkic is out, and Justice Winslow is out, and they traded away Gary Payton. They have literally no good perimeter defense now. So Eubanks is going to step in for Nurkic, as he has been the last 8, averaging modest 8 points, 6 rebounds, a couple assists. So 18.5 PRA seems kind of high. I think maybe you just want the points 8.5 because of what I'm saying here. This total is 242, and I don't think either team has much to defend with. OKC's 3rd game in 4 nights. They're coming off an emotional letdown after getting way up to play the Lakers on LeBron's record-breaking night. So I do think this game will be very freewheeling in terms of getting stats. And if Eubanks gets the minutes, he gets the numbers. He played at least 32 minutes in 3 straight against OKC, totaling 50 points, so 17 points a game. That includes a 27-point, 14-rebound game when he was basically the focal point in March against OKC. Both teams were tanking at that point 2 seasons ago. But, it shows you what he can do. He's a talented offensive player from the Spurs pipeline. And, he's going to slide into that Nurk role a little bit. And 9 points is just very low for a guy who's going to play. When he got 32 minutes without Nurk, when he played the Thunder, 9 points, 7 rebounds, pretty modest. But, again, the lack of wing options right now for the Blazers and the spot the Thunder are in, I think both offenses will have an easy time producing. I think Dame will be setting him up for some easy ones so that he gets at least 10 points. So 4 player props on the board here. Check out thelines.com. Use our prop finder tool to find all the best odds for your own bets here and monitor that injury report, those trade deadline news as we head closer to a big 11-game slate this Friday. And until we see you next, happy betting.